Winter officially began just 6 days ago, but the darkness feels as though it has surrounded us forever. It will not dissipate soon. It is hard to detect the few extra minutes of sunshine given us each day. And in January and February, we are likely to experience increased hospitalizations and deaths from the pandemic. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We will awake one morning near the end of January and suddenly realize the gloom of the winter sun has given way to bright blue skies. I love that moment. Seeing the healthcare providers and other essential workers who have risked their lives for us for so many months receive the vaccinations that will keep them safe gives us great joy. And although most of us will have to wait several months for our own shots, by late summer, if not earlier, we should be able to venture abroad, hug our loved ones, and take up the pursuit of happiness in whatever form that takes for you, without constant fear of an attack by this unseen enemy. It is not too soon then to contemplate what we have learned from this pandemic that we can use to advantage when our world opens up. Very fundamentally, we have learned that we can all do what seems impossible when there is no other option. So let's think of what we've learned during this time. We have drastically reduced our consumption of gasoline by simply planning meals a couple of weeks ahead and doing our shopping and other errands once every week or two, rather than circling the upper valley every day. If we discipline ourselves to do this when it is no longer necessary, we will save time, money, and to some small extent, the planet. And now we know we can. Many of us have found that we are more resilient than we thought we could be, and will bring our newfound confidence with us into the future. Although we long for a return to services in the sanctuary, we have also come to realize that Zoom services have advantages, and several members expressed the hope that we can continue to do both, and I believe the board is working on that. In any event, Zoom will stay with us. It is a wonderful way to stay connected with faraway friends and relations, and it is a time and cost-effective way to conduct meetings, at least some of the time, again, at considerable advantage to the environment. Educators have been forced to develop a whole new range of skills and techniques for online classes. These in no way can replace in-person education, but they have proved highly successful for some and provide valuable new tools to address the different learning styles and circumstances of individual students. We can build on this experience and continue with this new spirit of innovation to develop new ways to provide the appropriate education for a constantly changing world. And we have seen that our world will continue to constantly change. Telemedicine, in its infancy before the pandemic, has been expanded by leaps and bounds, and it is here to stay, providing enhanced access to medical professionals for patients who are distant or unable to travel to an office, saving all parties time, money, and the unnecessary spreading of disease. Nimble businesses with creative leaders have turned on a dime to produce new products or delivery methods to survive or even thrive. Internet expansion to rural areas is rapidly accelerating after years of stagnation, now that we know how essential it is. Even our social structure is poised to change dramatically, as the pandemic has made it impossible to ignore racial and income inequality. How can we call workers who clean our hospitals and pick up our garbage essential and still pay them minimum wage? Shame alone should be sufficient to goad us into action. Change is hard. Letting go of the presumed safety of doing things the way we have always done them is always uncomfortable. It can be frightening to push forward into the unknown, but it can also be exciting. Change has been forced upon us. Let us embrace it and move forward with all the lessons it has brought. Dan Mendelsohn and then Allan Weiman will reflect on the changes the pandemic has made in their lives After we listen to all of us together, we thrive.
At a preschool. My adult children are well and safe and able to be with us, although the worry is always there. My sister is doing okay. Her work as a self-employed massage therapist has all but dried up, but she is managing. I am still able to recreate in the outdoors as much as I want. I work from home and all is good except for the broken connections to people I don't work with every day. Nancy and I almost talk daily about what we are grateful for. It is often the same thing, but they are all worth repeating. Zoom and the cell phone replaced in-person contact with the world. Both of these technologies have been a wonder in keeping us connected. So what has changed for me? First, I alter what I ingest into my head, and this is an ongoing effort. Because I no longer commute or spend much time in the car, public radio is no longer stuffing my ears with today's awful news. I have not listened to news in the house for decades. During the last 4 years, it was frankly just hard to go to and from work with the radio on. Silence is better. Not that I want to be unaware, not that I am unaware, I just can't bathe in the news cycles. News has been replaced by podcasts. The podcasts I gravitate to are stories told about the great range of human experience and those that can explain the human condition. I still read the headlines and a few stories and articles. I try to comprehend the tragedy and brokenness and the triumphs and hopes of the world. But learning about other ideas and listening to experiences I would not otherwise have helped me see and learn about other aspects of the human experience that I would never know. I listen to podcasts when I run or hike, and only then. It is easier to be present with these stories when I am still outdoors and moving. I've hiked Cardigan over a dozen times this year, so the adventure of it is gone, but each hike or run is new and different with the weather each day, the passing conversations, and the stories and ideas of the human condition that fill my ears. This practice lets me see the world as a better place and in a different light than the news would allow. I have one sister in California. Pre-pandemic, we talked every month or two. We now have talked every week since March, and that has been a blessing for both of us as we navigate the pandemic and being in our 60s. Zoom is filling a need. Work for me has been in front of a screens 40 to 45 hours per week, so I don't go looking for things to do on Zoom. But when I do use Zoom, I look forward to it. Chalice circles have almost been better than being there. The conversations are no less than if in person. The friendships that develop are no less. Gone is the transition for travel, the driving home in the dark, and the added transition or arriving back home for the day before going to bed. Sunday service is different. I'm not here every week. I miss the choir. I miss the greeting. I miss coffee hour. I miss my turn to put the hymnals out or pick them up. I am grateful for the music we have, the chance to gather, to see everyone, and the relevance of what matters in our hearts and souls on Sunday. With Zoom, we also gain the presence of those who are separated by distance. Gratefulness of what we have on Sundays washes away what I miss above. I do look forward to when we can all gather together in the meeting house again. I am also quite okay with just being slower and doing less. It might just be an age thing too. Letting slowness dictate what I won't do is okay. During the pandemic, I am reading more books, and slowing down, I have more time for this. The idea of checking a book out of the library was completely foreign to me. 3 weeks? Are you kidding? Now it's possible. I only leave the house once per week by car for food and shopping and errands. In short, using the car less is always a good thing, almost whatever the circumstance. Being a homebody is good. I never thought it would, but it is. I think about and plan my next bike adventures. There's no change there. I just have more time to dream about that. I think about the tragic brokenness in the world. We all want a world that is sustainable and equitable for all. I don't know how to reconcile that with my wellness and good fortune. The ache is there, and it should be. What I hope for when the pandemic fades is to keep the renewal for gratitude, the connection with my sister, being mindful of what I ingest and learn, allow the slowness to weigh in on what matters, keep the aches and brokenness of the world close, and find ways to make it better or help those that do. And hopefully, we get to celebrate, but not rest on those wins. Thank you. And now Allan Weiman will present his reflection.
Good morning. Cappy asked me to speak about how we have responded to COVID in the context of music and singing. So music and singing are a big part of our lives. Joe and I met in a UU choir, and we've been singing together in many choirs and choruses for almost 25 years. And many of our closest friends are fellow singers in those groups. COVID keeps our singing groups apart. It seemed that this virus would rob us of our joy and our strength in music. Thankfully, many passionate and creative singers and directors have found ways to continue to make music and to share community. When we could no longer get together, our first response, like many people, was to go to Zoom. As you know, Zoom is good for talking with people, but you cannot sing together on Zoom because of the time lag. Despite this problem, a new group consisting of about 50 singers calling itself Zoomberry is currently working on a film about making music during COVID. There will be some form of Zoomberry performance this spring that will combine virtual singing, body percussion, and perhaps some live performance. And several people from our congregation are participating, including Sue Dayat, Lori Fortini, Kate Lucier, and Joe Shute. There's also been the creation of virtual choirs like the UUCUV virtual choir that sang on Christmas Eve. Each singer records his or her part separately, and then a very hardworking and tech-savvy person puts it together to produce the virtual choir performance. It can sound good, it's fun, it's a little humbling, actually it's very humbling, to see yourself singing alone on a video. However, it can fulfill the desire to sing and create music together. The next innovation is what we call the driveway choir system. Some creative directors, technologists, and sound engineers created this system. It allows us to meet in our cars and sing together using wireless mics, a sound mixer, and a transmitter that sends the mixed voices back to the singers via FM radio. It's all at the speed of light, so there's no time lag. It's a little strange to have 30 singers sitting in their cars, watching a director in an office picture window up on a hill, accompanied by an electronic keyboard, singing together. But it has given us the joy of making music together in real time. Members of at least 13 choral groups in the Upper Valley have used the system. When Vermont initiated travel restrictions in response to the recent COVID spike, we created the Sing for Joy choir to sing Christmas carols. It consists of 27 New Hampshire-based singers. The driveway choir is portable, so during the holiday season, it has allowed the Sing for Joy choir to carol at senior living facilities and at homes of some housebound friends. Through innovation, collaboration, the generosity of many people, we are able to sing together and make music safely. Making music together using has been a comfort in difficult times. As one musician put it, it is a source of strength and joy in these times of uncertainty, grief, and isolation. At the heart of music and at the heart of all creation is love. During this time, we have learned that creative love is irrepressible. I'd like to end with a few verses from a hymn by Robert Lowry. Our lives go on in endless song, above us lamentations. We hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake our inmost calm, while to that rock we're clinging, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can we keep from singing? Thank you.